Deputy Speaker, on 28th of March, I shared on social media the work I and colleagues across the two houses have been doing to urge the government of Pakistan to build an international airport at Mirpur. This is an important issue for over 1 million British Kashmiris who overwhelmingly come from there and face delay and danger whilst travelling from Islamabad to Mirpur. The reactions to that post, including from some members of the House, have resulted in us being subject to Islamophobic, racist attacks and harassment. The members of Great Yarmouth, Harborough, Oadby and Wigston, the member for Uffrington, the member for Boston and Skegness, all of whom have been...
The honourable member should not be criticising other members for their social media posts in that.
The recent incident in the UK Parliament, where Labour MP Tahir Ali was silenced by the Speaker, underscores the pressing issues surrounding free speech, parliamentary conduct and political dissent. On March 28th, Ali shared a post on social media about his and his colleagues' efforts to advocate for the construction of an international airport in Mirpur, Pakistan. The project was important not only as an infrastructure development but also as a matter of great significance to over 1 million British Kashmiris. These constituents, according to Ali, faced significant delays and dangers while travelling to their homeland via Islamabad. The proposed airport was meant to address these issues by providing a safer and more efficient route for the community. Ali's social media post also highlighted the support for this initiative from MPs across both Houses of Parliament. However, what was initially a straightforward plea for better infrastructure soon devolved into a highly charged political debate. The post sparked criticism from several fellow parliamentarians, including MPs from Great Yarmouth, Wigston, Uppingham and Boston and Skegness. What followed went beyond mere political disagreement and escalated into personal attacks. Ali stated that the criticism was not only about the airport project but was laced with Islamophobic and racist rhetoric. He condemned the reactions, which seemed to reflect a wider issue of prejudice against him and his cause. The situation took a dramatic turn during a parliamentary session when Ali attempted to respond to these attacks. The Deputy Speaker intervened, warning Ali not to criticize fellow members for their social media posts. This effectively silenced him and prevented him from defending his position. While the Deputy Speaker's action adhered to parliamentary protocol, it raised uncomfortable questions about the limits of political discourse. Should MPs, particularly those from marginalized communities, be discouraged from speaking out against their colleagues, especially when the issues at hand involve race and representation? Ali's attempt to advocate for his constituents and address vital issues was reduced to a mere procedural squabble over parliamentary etiquette. The real concerns of equality, political freedom, and the treatment of minority voices were overshadowed. This incident serves as a stark reminder of the challenges faced by MPs, especially those from minority backgrounds, when attempting to raise important issues in a system that often resists change. It brings into focus the difficulties of speaking truth to power and the barriers that remain for marginalized voices in UK politics. The backlash against Labour MP Tahir Ali's call for an international airport in Mirpur has ignited a broader discussion about the limits of political criticism and the role social media plays in modern parliamentary debate. Ali's post, which outlined the collective efforts of himself and his colleagues to support the airport project, was met with unexpected hostility. The proposal, which aimed to improve travel conditions for the British Kashmiri community, was rooted in practical concerns, namely the logistical and safety challenges faced by over 1 million British Kashmiris travelling to and from Islamabad. Ali's objective was straightforward: to secure a safer, more efficient route for his community. However, his advocacy was quickly overshadowed by a wave of personal attacks from several MPs, including those from Great Yarmouth, Wigston, Uppingham and Boston and Skegness. These attacks went far beyond policy disagreements, escalating into Islamophobic and racist harassment. Ali highlighted that the response he faced was not merely an attack on his proposal, but an assault on his identity and his motivation. What had started as a policy debate soon morphed into a hostile confrontation fueled by underlying racial prejudice. As Ali attempted to speak in the House of Commons, his efforts to advocate for the British Kashmiri community were drowned out by the xenophobic undertones of the critique. The tension escalated further when the Deputy Speaker intervened, silencing Ali and preventing him from responding to the accusations. While the Speaker's decision adhered to parliamentary rules that discouraged direct criticism of fellow members, it also underscored a troubling issue. Political speech was being stifled precisely when Ali sought to defend the voices of a marginalized community. By cutting off Ali's response, the Speaker inadvertently reinforced the perception that MPs who challenge the status quo or advocate for minority rights are marginalized, both politically and socially. This incident sparked a wider debate about the limits of political discourse in the UK, particularly in how parliamentarians express dissent. The silencing of Ali raised fundamental questions about the role of MPs in representing the interests of their constituents. It also exposed how the political establishment reacts when voices challenge the prevailing narrative, particularly when those voices come from minority communities. The controversy around Ali's case has not only highlighted issues of racial prejudice, but has also called attention to the barriers that exist for MPs advocating for the rights of marginalized groups, shedding light on the challenges these individuals face in making their voices heard in the UK political system. The episode involving Labour MP Tahir Ali in the House of Commons raises important questions about the current state of political discourse and how certain voices are treated within the UK's political framework. Ali's proposal to build an international airport in Mirpur, Pakistan, was more than just a logistical suggestion. It represented a much-needed call for action to address the needs of the British Kashmiri community. His initiative aimed to provide a safer and more efficient way for over 1 million British Kashmiris to travel to and from their homeland. However, what followed his proposal wasn't just a debate on the merits of the project, but a deeply personal, racially charged backlash that exposed a darker side of the political process. Ali's social media post, in which he outlined the collective efforts of himself and other MPs pushing for the airport, was met with criticism from his colleagues, including racially motivated and Islamophobic responses. In a time when social media plays a pivotal role in political engagement and the dissemination of ideas, this kind of reaction underscores a troubling trend where marginalized voices are often invalidated through personal attacks rather than a fair examination of the issues raised. This shift from discussing an important infrastructure project to focusing on Ali's identity and character raised serious concerns about how political opposition is framed in the UK. Instead of engaging with the substance of Ali's arguments, many chose to attack him personally, illustrating how political debates around policy can be overshadowed by prejudice and hostility. The situation escalated further when Ali was silenced in Parliament by the Deputy Speaker, despite his legitimate defense of a critical cause. Parliamentary rules may have prohibited direct criticism of other members, but silencing an MP advocating for his community only added to the feeling that certain voices are not welcome in the political process. The intervention served as a reminder of the power dynamics within political institutions, where dissenting voices, especially from marginalized communities, are often stifled. The incident revealed a broader pattern of intimidation and exclusion directed at political figures who seek to challenge the status quo, particularly when they advocate for minority rights. The climate of hostility surrounding Ali's case is more than just an individual matter. It reflects a larger societal issue where marginalized voices are frequently shut down in favor of maintaining the established narrative. This type of political exclusion harms not only individuals, but also society at large by discouraging constructive dialogue and active participation in democracy. Ali's treatment in Parliament serves as a reminder that political freedom and speech are essential in ensuring a fair and inclusive political system, where all voices are heard, especially those from underrepresented communities. The question remains, who gets to speak in these crucial debates, and how can political systems ensure equal representation for all? The incident involving Labour MP Tahir Ali being silenced in Parliament highlights the ongoing struggles faced by minority groups when attempting to challenge the political establishment. Ali's proposal for an international airport in Mirpur, Pakistan, was not merely a political initiative, but a call for the over 1 million British Kashmiris who have long been marginalized. The incident starkly revealed how, despite claims of championing free speech and representation, the political system can stifle voices that challenge the status quo. Instead of focusing on the merits of Ali's proposal, his efforts were met with racially charged Islamophobic attacks. These attacks, increasingly common when minority politicians speak out, demonstrate the biases that still run deep in the political establishment. The personal attacks that Ali received, rather than engaging with the substance of his proposal, shed light on a deeper issue within British politics: the tendency to attack the identity of those who bring forward issues that deviate from the mainstream narrative. That these attacks were allowed to persist, while Ali's important proposal was distorted and undermined, demonstrates a broader issue of racial and religious prejudice within the political system. Adding to the disquiet, the Deputy Speaker's intervention in silencing Ali during his speech was deeply troubling. Parliamentary rules dictate that MPs should avoid personal attacks, but Ali's comments were not an attack. He was responding to the racist and Islamophobic harassment directed at him. By calling attention to the discriminatory treatment he faced, Ali aimed to hold his colleagues accountable. Unfortunately, his voice was silenced, further exemplifying how the system stifles dissent and discourages accountability. The speaker's actions failed to address the core issue, racism and Islamophobia, and instead sent a dangerous message about whose voices are deemed worthy of being heard in the political sphere. This incident exposed how fragile political discourse in the UK can be, where legitimate concerns are easily overshadowed by personal attacks. MPs from minority backgrounds are often expected to conform to a prescribed narrative or face being marginalized. Ali's case is a stark reminder of the hostile environment many politicians from minority groups face when they challenge the dominant political discourse. It underscores the urgent need for a more inclusive political system that allows individuals to represent their communities without fear of discrimination or silencing. Ultimately, this incident raises a critical question: does the current political system truly provide fair representation for all citizens, or does it perpetuate the power of those who seek to maintain the status quo? The events surrounding Ali's silencing reflect the broader struggles of marginalized groups in the UK and emphasize the importance of fostering a more equitable and inclusive political environment. The escalating controversy surrounding Labour MP Tahir Ali's treatment in Parliament highlights the larger challenges that minority communities face in the political arena. Ali's call for an international airport in Mirpur, Pakistan, was not just a technical or logistical matter. It was a response to a pressing issue that directly affects over 1 million British Kashmiris. The proposal, aimed at easing the difficulties that his constituents face while traveling between Pakistan and the UK, was rooted in real concerns about safety and accessibility. However, instead of focusing on these legitimate issues, Ali was met with harsh criticism and personal attacks, which brought to light the deeply ingrained biases that still permeate British politics. The backlash Ali faced was swift and overwhelming, and it went beyond a mere difference of opinion. What started as a debate over infrastructure soon escalated into Islamophobic and racist comments, reflecting a disturbing pattern of how minority MPs are treated when they raise important issues. Ali's experience is not an isolated incident, but a reflection of the larger struggles that marginalized politicians face in challenging systemic problems. This kind of discriminatory treatment is a constant obstacle for MPs from minority communities, who often find themselves dealing with prejudice rather than meaningful political discourse. What was most concerning about the situation was the intervention of the Deputy Speaker, who silenced Ali during his speech. The Deputy Speaker's decision to stop Ali from responding to the personal attacks seemed to prioritize suppressing uncomfortable truths over upholding the principles of parliamentary order. Ali was not making personal accusations, but was defending himself and his community against baseless racism and Islamophobia. His attempt to hold those responsible for the attacks accountable was a necessary step in giving a voice to the British Kashmiris who had been ignored for far too long. By silencing Ali, the Deputy Speaker inadvertently reinforced the idea that marginalized groups should remain silent when faced with systemic discrimination. This incident raises important questions about the power dynamics in British politics, where those who challenge the established order or speak out for their communities often face suppression. It also brings into sharp focus the implications for free speech in Parliament. If MPs are not allowed to stand up against racism and defend their constituents in such a significant setting, how can we expect true representation of minority groups in the government? Ali's case highlights the urgent need for reforms and greater accountability in the UK's political system. MPs from all backgrounds must be given a fair platform to represent their constituents without fear of discrimination or retribution. The incident involving Labour MP Tahir Ali in Parliament has sparked a significant debate about the treatment of minority voices and the state of free speech within the UK political system. Ali's efforts to raise awareness about the need for an international airport in Mirpur, Pakistan, were not met with a constructive discussion on the issue. Instead, his proposal was overshadowed by racially charged criticisms that quickly devolved into personal attack. Ali's campaign was motivated by the real struggles faced by over 1 million British Kashmiris, who regularly faced delays and safety concerns when traveling between Islamabad and Mirapur. His push for this infrastructure project was aimed at addressing these issues, offering a solution for his community, but it was met with hostility rather than thoughtful engagement. The response Ali received went far beyond typical political disagreement. Instead of discussing the merits of the airport proposal, some MPs turned the debate into a personal attack, resorting to Islamophobic remarks and false accusations. This shift from policy discourse to racial and religious animus highlighted a deep-seated problem in the UK political landscape: prejudices that continue to manifest in public discourse, even in the most esteemed chambers of government. As Ali attempted to respond to these hostile comments in Parliament, he was silenced by the Deputy Speaker, further exacerbating the situation. Rather than defending Ali's right to respond to the unjust criticisms and uphold his integrity, the Speaker's decision to silence him suggested that the discomfort caused by Ali's words was a greater concern than the racist attacks against him. By preventing Ali from addressing the hostile rhetoric, Parliament sent an implicit message that such discrimination could go unchecked. This is especially troubling for a political system that prides itself on democracy and the protection of free speech. When MPs from marginalized backgrounds are silenced for standing up against discrimination, it raises serious questions about the fairness of the democratic process. Ali's experience has ignited important conversations about the treatment of minority MPs, the need for inclusive dialogue, and the vital importance of safeguarding free speech within the political arena. His case underscores a broader issue: the silencing of minority voices and the failure to tackle systemic racism. The consequences of this incident could have lasting implications for how MPs from underrepresented communities are treated and whether they are allowed to truly represent their constituents. The challenge moving forward is to ensure that such incidents do not become normalized, and that every MP, regardless of their background, has the platform to speak freely, represent their community, and challenge injustice. See you soon.